So, good evening, everybody. I hope y'all had a blessed day today and are enjoying your evening. So, today is October 13th. It's an easy Sunday, easy going Sunday so far. Weather's been perfect and everything has just been a blessed day today, weather-wise. But on the news front, let's just get into it. So, Prime Minister Netanyahu has advised the UN to move their peacekeepers out of Lebanon and out of harm's way because at this point, Israel has no need for the UN to intervene and to have peacekeepers there in Lebanon because Israel feels that the UN failed to keep weapons out of Lebanon because, as they've been reporting that Hezbollah and Hamas are actually hiding weapons in people's actual residence, their houses. So there's no need for the peacekeepers to be there at this point. And they're saying that Israel has been shooting at some of the peacekeepers in Lebanon. Well, Israel has given them ample amount of time and warnings to get out of Lebanon, but they refuse to leave. I don't know why somehow they think that they can convince Israel to engage in any type of ceasefire or peace talks at this point. When Netanyahu has already said, I'm not going back. I'm getting rid of the problem once and for all. And I'm returning my people to their homes in the northern part of our country, which is like 70,000 people who've been displaced. Hamas attacked Israel first. So at this point, Israel is not playing no games. So they said, you know what? Like Netanyahu said, blame Lebanon for using the civilians as human shields. It's not Israel's fault that they're doing that. All Israel is trying to do is get rid of them and their weapons. They're at war with they're at war with Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, the Lebanese army, but they're not at war with the Lebanese people. So, that's it. They need to look at their own government because that's the one who's putting the citizens in harm's way. So anyway, like the book of Ecclesiastes said, there's a time for war and there's a time for peace. And in this end time, right now, it's a time for war. This is the end time. See, Jesus, when he first came here, he came as a lamb. He came in peace because he had a mission that he needed to fulfill. Once that was fulfilled, he rose from the dead, ascended to heaven, and is preparing a place for his church. And at this point, it's the end time, and when he comes back the second time around, he's coming back for war. He's coming back as a lion, ready to wage war on his enemies. So this is not a time for peace right now. Now, mind you, there will be a temporary ceasefire and a peace treaty under the rule of the Antichrist for a short time. And, the stage is being set for that to happen very shortly because we are in the last days. So the Antichrist is going to enter onto the scene and he will sign a fake peace treaty, but that's not going to last but 3.5 years. And then he's going to break it. So, but that is not the time now. It's around the corner. It's coming. But now, it's just not, the Antichrist has not been given rulership over the entire world, for the one world government that's coming. Satan hasn't given the Antichrist that authority yet, but it's coming. So that's what happens when the Antichrist comes, and I believe that he has been revealed. I've told y'all who I think it is. I could be wrong. If he's not him, then he's a harbinger for him, the Antichrist. If he's not the Antichrist, he's a harbinger for the Antichrist. So that's a whole nother subject. So this is the end, and Jesus is on his way back. So he's going to declare on his war on his enemies, and he is going to, right now, God is going to redeem the people and restore the people of Israel in this war. So Um, there is no, I don't see the point of peacekeepers being in Lebanon. For what? There is no more peace at this point. This is a full-fledged war that is about to expand to a world war. So I would advise the UN to just go ahead and get their people out before, unless they want their people to become casualties of war. So anyway, the New York has reported that a third possible assassination attempt was made on the life of Donald Trump, but luckily it was thwarted. They ended up checking the guy out and seeing that he had like some fake VIP passes and fake tags and stuff, but he also had some weapons in the car, some unregistered guns in the car. So he was trying to pose up, present himself as media or the press, and trying to get into the rally, but luckily they stopped him before he could do anything. See, that's good police work. They stopped him, so he couldn't do anything. They let him have a bond, and he is out. And I believe he gave a story to the press, which I'm going to go on YouTube and look for it and see what he has to say in a little bit after I get done with this. But they did catch him. His name was Michael Collins. I think they said he was like 31 or something, 32. But I don't know for sure a lot about him. But they said he was a member of the Sovereign Citizens or something that was a group of people that are anti-government. So yeah, he did try to enter into that rally with a bunch of straps. So he had a plan. He was up to something. But this was at the rally in Coachella Valley, California. So again, this further confirms my suspicion that Trump is in fact the man of lawlessness described in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3. He meets the description to a T. It's also mentioned in 13:3, the man of lawlessness, the son of perdition. He meets all the details as it is described in the scriptures. He's like I said, it's 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3, and Revelations chapter 13, verse 3. If you read it, you will see that it describes former President Donald Trump. And that's why he's having all of these attempts and stuff. You know, all these attempts are being made on his life. They will not succeed. They're not going to succeed. They will all fail. But yeah, that's who I believe he is. And if he's not the Antichrist, then he is a harbinger for the Antichrist. He's setting the stage for the Antichrist. But I believe, I don't know, if he wins this election, that just almost convinces me 100% that he is the Antichrist. But I do believe he is the man of lawlessness. See, they may not be the same person. The Antichrist and the man of lawlessness, they may not be the same person. Because, you know, the Bible did say that there will be many antichrists. So, but it just fits Donald Trump to a T. That's why I do believe that, unfortunately, I think he's going to win the election, because he's the Antichrist. He's the one that is going to come into power and be given supreme authority over the earth and rule over a one world government. A lot of people say that, you know, that is Vladimir Putin. I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see. So, you know, a lot of people were saying, you know, they thought it was Obama, Vladimir Putin, then they thought it was Adolf. And it could have very well been, because the scripture says that there will be many antichrists that will come forward in the end times. So he said it could be any of them, it could be all of them. But I do believe that Trump is one of them. Anyway, who signs the book and autograph the Bible like they're God, like they wrote it? Who does that? But yeah, the book says that the man of lawlessness will be revealed right before Jesus returns to the earth, and during a time of great deception, rebellion, and opposition to God. So that's what we're experiencing right now in this present day. There is so much just the apostasy. We see a lot of the deception of the false prophets, such as the popes and the pulpit pimps and the prosperity preachers, and preaching to the masses and deceiving the people. And then we have the falling away. A lot of people are just saying, "Oh, I'm just spiritual. I'm not religious, and the Bible was not written by God. It was written by man, and I don't believe in the Bible, and I'm agnostic, and I don't know, and I'm Buddhist, and I'm Scientologist, and I'm Hindu, and I do yoga." And it's just a great falling away, like the church said. And then just a great apostasy. You have all these variations of Christianity. You got some of these people be out here dancing with snakes, and you have these Christian cults that, Christian scientists and Christian nationalists and all these different sects of Christianity. And they, like the book says, it's a form of godliness. It's a form of godliness, but it's not, it's not real, it's not true godliness. It's not the true gospel. So that's the great apostasy, especially it's going on in the church too. So, like I said, with all this prosperity preaching and all the Joel Osteens, the preachers that they don't preach thunder, they just preach sunshine and rainbows and, oh, we're just gonna have a great time, and that's Joel Osteen. But see, Jesus, he wasn't all just, sunshine and rainbows. He preached the good news. The prophets preached the good news, but those prophets also preached thunder, which is why a lot of them, most of them were killed. I think all of the prophets were killed except for John. John was the only prophet, I think, that lived into old age. So, the great apostasy, the falling away, the apostate church, and the false prophets, the deception, all of that is happening right now. So yeah, just look at the Olympics and the award shows and stuff. You just see people marching in the streets, having parades, just mocking God, blaspheming Jesus, and praising Satan. You see it in the public. They just out with it now. They didn't used to be so open with it. But yeah, this is the end time. This is what the end time talks about. I just did last 2 videos about all of this. Long videos too. Let's see. What else happened? Costa Rica had a 6.2 earthquake yesterday. There's a little shaky going on down there. And also, one of Japan's most active volcanoes, called, Sakurajima? Sakurajima, erupted. That's the second time it's erupted this year. They keep saying that Japan is about to experience an earthquake of the century, so we don't know if it's going to happen during, this part of the century or later on, if the world is still here. But they said that Japan is going to have an earthquake of the century. But this volcano, it erupted. It wasn't a devastating, catastrophic eruption, although it does, when a volcano erupts, it could send up a cloud of ash, and that's what happened. It was a pretty good eruption. I got the video on it. So yeah, it could cause ash clouds, possible ejection of volcanic rocks, and the possibility of pyroclastic flows. So yeah, that happened today. Okay, so there has also been a mass casualty event in Haifa in Israel. Hezbollah struck Israel with 3 suicide drones, and it injured like 70 people, and they believe that it may have possibly killed an Israeli army chief. I think his name was Herzi Halevi. Herzai Halevi. But yeah, he was an Israeli general. Yeah, they killed 1 general. Okay, but how many have they lost? Israel may lose a few soldiers, but they have taken out a lot. So, unfortunately, that's all in the rules of war. Rules of engagement when it comes to war. You may lose a few, but Israel still has taken out a lot of their leadership and a lot of their civilians and soldiers, and we ain't seen nothing yet, because their major retaliation against Iran has not happened yet. And they've already invaded Syria and Lebanon. So, yeah, wait and watch for the next few days. It's going to be some stuff happening. So what else? Oh, yeah. So Hamas hit Israel. And Israel also struck, Hezbollah hit Israel with those suicide drones. And I think that was the day before yesterday. But then Israeli Defense Forces struck a Hamas command center operating inside of a compound that served as a school, a shelter, and a hospital. They warned the people, that they were going to strike because they, somehow got some intel that this is being used as a command center. This is not just a school. This is not just a shelter. This is not just a hospital. This is being used as a command and control center. So once again, they're using civilians as a human shield. So Hezbollah struck Israel, killed one of their generals, injured some people. And just as Benjamin Netanyahu promised, he said, hey, if you strike Israel, Israel will strike you back. And that's what's happening. And they want to make Israel to be the ones, they're committing mass genocide and please stop them. And then Netanyahu needs to be indicted and all this other stuff. No, Netanyahu is just holding down his country. And he's standing on business. He's doing what he's supposed to do. So, meanwhile, over here in America, Obama is on a campaign blitz. He's going around, touring, campaigning on behalf. He's hit the campaign trail for Kamala because it's getting so close to election. We only got like 3 weeks left. So he showed up at a Harris campaign office in Pittsburgh, scolding black men for not having the same energy and turnout for the vice president as much as they did when he ran for office. Well, the world has changed a lot since Obama first ran. And we've had the COVID-19, the migrant crisis, the insurrection, and Trump's first term. We've had to deal with all that since Obama left office. So yes, black men were energized and turned out in record numbers when he first ran for president. But Obama ended up being a big letdown who went way harder for the LGBT community than he ever did for the black community. So you know what I want to see? I want to see Obama go to his native Chicago. Well, that's where he lived. He's from Chicago. He lived in Chicago. That's where he began his political career. I want to see Obama go to the black community in Chicago and speak to those people. Give them a speech. Go try to preach to them the partisan politics and stuff like you did to the black man up there in Pittsburgh just the other day. I want to see you go lecture and scold the people in those black Chicago communities, those poor black people up there struggling with all that high rate of crime and poverty up there, where they dumped those migrants, tens of thousands of migrants, put them up in shelters, gave them hundreds of millions of dollars in government assistance, while the lower middle class and poor black communities, y'all left them for dead, their families starve and they struggle to survive. And y'all giving these migrants all the money. So they even had to file suit in Chicago for that. The citizens, they filed suit because, they're giving the migrants all the money, hundreds of millions of dollars. And that community up in Chicago is in turmoil, complete turmoil. It was in turmoil before the migrant crisis. Now it's even in a worse condition than it was before. So those people are mad. That's why they're up there looting trains and stuff now. And it's going to be a lot more of that. And there's going to be more gang violence because you got those Trinidad Araguas up there and all these illegal immigrant gangs. And then you got the Hispanic gangs, and then you got the black gangs. And it's just going to be a powder keg. It is a powder keg right now. So keep your eyes on Chicago and America because that's about to blow any minute. You think the train heist and the train robbery the other day was something, you wait. It's going to be just like what's going on up in New York. And New York is going to get worse because they're going to start outright robbing. They're already doing that. They're going to start, the natives are going to start outright robbing and rioting in the streets up in New York because the migrant crisis is so out of control up there. They even running over the police up there. So Oh, anyway, so yeah, my whole thing is go up. I want to see Obama. I want to see Michelle. You know, yeah, they from Chicago. I want to see them go up to the black community in Chicago, because you don't mind going up there when you want something and you need votes. So go up there and talk to them and give them a speech. Preach to them about how they should vote for the Democrats and not vote for Trump. No, they shouldn't vote. Trump ain't never did nothing for no black people anyway. We know Trump's a white supremacist. We know Trump's an elitist. You know, he's an he's unapologetically the way he is. That's Trump. So, but anyway, like I said, why didn't Obama spend the rest of his his second term? Why didn't he spend his second term fighting for reparations for African Americans? Instead, Obama spent his term supporting transgender rights, like to use the bathroom, and Bruce, what's his name, Bruce Jenner, Caitlyn Jenner, whatever that thing is. You support him, congratulate him on the phone, and all that other stuff, and you fought more harder for the rainbow community than you did for the black community. So go to the hood and try to preach partisan politics to them next week or within the upcoming week, because the election's only 3 weeks away. Obama, Michelle, go up to Chicago. Talk to them folks, because them folks is mad as you know what at what's happening, what's going on with them. But Kamala and Obama are the sons and daughters of migrants. So this is why they're not as focused on the migrant crisis and controlling the border, because their parents came over here. Obama's dad was from Ghana. Kamala's dad was from Jamaica, and her mother was from India. So they're the children of migrants. So they're not going to be as hard on migrants as, is required to regain control of the border and to have, more policing at the border like Trump has promised. So, yeah, people are not obligated to vote. They're not obligated to vote for any candidate because, truthfully speaking, a lot of black men are turned off from Kamala because Kamala used to be a prosecutor. And they said that Kamala put a lot of black people in jail, especially black men. She put a lot of black men in jail for things such as marijuana, women, black mothers, single black mothers for truancy and things like that. So that's why a lot of the black men have a axe to grind with Kamala. And then with the migrant crisis, because they said that they just fumbled the migrant crisis, during their administration, and they just, they're pissed off. Black people are pissed off. So we got one that used to be a prosecutor, which is Kamala, and then you got a white supremacist who had with a silver spoon in his mouth, who want to put black people back into slavery. So which one do you pick? That's up to the person, the individual themselves to decide which one should I go with. So that's where the black community stands. But Obama and them, Oprah and all these black people, y'all can miss me with the brother man, sister girl, brother man stump speeches, because they're probably going to send Michelle out next week, to hold a pep rally, cheerleading and stuff for Kamala with black women, because, black women love Michelle. But at the end of the day, that's all just empty. That's empty suit stuff. We don't need to hear no more speeches. We don't need to hear nothing like that. All these broken promises that these politicians make to the black community and don't ever deliver once they get into office. We just... So anyway, so Obama was all about hope. I noticed this too. That's one thing that they keep saying. If Kamala get into office, just get back to joy. She said it in her speech, Kamala herself, joy, Oprah, joy, Obama, joy. And I'm like, this must be some, because Obama, it was all about hope when Obama ran, right? Now they all on this joys type stuff. And I'm like, okay, this must be the theme word now. The theme word was hope with Obama, and now it's joy with Kamala. I said, this must be Sabayon code, because they keep using this term. Sabayon code, this is the Illuminati code, That's how they work. You got to have a good discernment and an eye for that. So that's the theme. That's the theme word, the choice word for this election cycle. It's also contrived and calculated. Because I don't care who gets in office. At the end of the day, I'm not a citizen of this world anyway. God is my president. I elect Jesus Christ. I vote for him all the time, every day, all day. Because can't no man fix what's going on in this world, in this country. They can't fix this. It's too far gone. So guys, with that, I'm going to just get out of here. But stay blessed, stay prayed up. Pray for me. Pray for your loved ones. Pray for all of us. And just pray that Jesus come on down here and get us out of this hellhole. So, all right. I'm going to catch up on some more news. And I pray that you all have a blessed remaining what's left of your weekend. Bye.
Israel's air defenses light the night sky following a Hezbollah rocket barrage early Sunday morning. The fighting comes as Hezbollah continues hitting northern Israel for what the Western-identified terror group says is its support for Palestinians in Gaza after the October 7 Hamas terror attacks on Israel that led to all-out war. While Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon continue cross-border attacks, civilians seek cover in a bomb shelter in the Israeli city of Haifa. And in recent days, Israeli strikes injured 5 UN peacekeepers known as UNIFIL in parts of Lebanon, where strikes across the country have killed 1,400 people as of September, according to Lebanon's health ministry. The ministry does not differentiate between Hezbollah fighters and civilians.
This is a serious development, and UNIFIL reiterates that the safety and security of UN personnel and property must be guaranteed, and that the inviolability of UN premises must be respected at all times.
Israel has made clear in public statements that it's not targeting attacks on the Lebanese people or UNIFIL, but rather Iran-backed Hezbollah. Following news of the injuries to UN peacekeepers, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu both issued an apology and a warning.
הגיע הזמן שתוציא את יוניפיל ממעוזי החיזבאללה וממרחבי הלחימה.
It is time you take UNIFIL out of Hezbollah's strongholds and combat areas. Your refusal to evacuate UNIFIL soldiers makes them hostages in the hands of Hezbollah. It endangers them as well as our soldiers.
Parts of Lebanon have now been reduced to rubble and dust following Israeli strikes, a scene similar to Gaza, and one the White House does not want to see repeated.
We cannot and will not see Lebanon turn into Gaza, into another Gaza. That is not what we want to see. The suffering in both Gaza and Lebanon adds even greater urgency, as you've heard from us, to our efforts certainly to end the conflicts and lay a foundation for lasting peace and security in the region.
Meanwhile, Israelis in Tel Aviv took to the streets for their weekly protests against Netanyahu's government on Yom Kippur, the highest of Jewish holidays. They continued demanding a ceasefire to help broker a hostage release deal to free those still held by Hamas in Gaza following the October 7 attacks. Arash Erbasadi, VOA News.
They're saying that at least 13 Palestinians have been killed and several have been wounded in Israeli tank shelling of a school where displaced families had been sheltering in the central Gaza Strip. So this news coming into us from the Reuters news agency. They're quoting medics on the scene saying that at least 13 Palestinians have been killed when Israeli tank shelling of a school where displaced families were sheltering in the central Gaza Strip. We'll bring you more on that as we get it. Now let's go to our international affairs editor, Dominic Waghorn, who joins us from Hadera in central Israel. The other breaking news we've had over the past hour, Dom, is of this drone attack in Israel. What can you tell us?
We have to be careful about what we say, Barbara, because there is a certain amount of doubt and confusion, to be honest. This attack, as it seems to have been, happened a few hours ago now, but it's still not entirely clear what happened or exactly what the casualties were, but it is clear that this is a very serious event. It does seem to have been the biggest mass casualty event in Israel proper since the war began over a year ago. I'm outside Hillel Yafa Hospital, which is just south of Binyamina, the area south of Haifa, where this attack reportedly happened. And we've just been told by hospital staff here that 36 casualties were brought here. Amongst them, there were 10 quite badly wounded, 4 seriously wounded, and 2 of those have been evacuated to other hospitals. So 36, that is a little more than half the total number of casualties, which is thought to be 67 at the moment. But to give you an idea of the scale of this, apparently another 7 hospitals were involved in treating the casualties. So the casualties from this attack in Binyamina seem to have been sent to 8 hospitals in total. That's certainly what we're being told here. And this follows Hezbollah saying that it launched a squadron of attack drones from Lebanon targeting a military base in Binyamina. That's just south of the northern city of Haifa. Now, it's not confirmed as to whether that base was hit or exactly who these injured are. And there is a certain amount of secrecy and censorship, to be honest, involved in the wake of this mass casualty event, which is often the case in Israel, particularly if there are possibly fatalities involved. But all I can say at the moment is that this seems to be the centre of gravity in terms of the casualties being treated. As I say, more than half of them being treated here at Hillel Yafa, and it is a very serious event. And if the casualties are military, which that does seem to be early indications suggesting that is the case, then that is an extraordinary attack carried out by Hezbollah, who have obviously terrorized the north of Israel and led to tens of thousands of Israelis evacuating that area south of the border. That area evacuated since October the 8th when Hezbollah started attacking Israel. But to penetrate that far south of Haifa even, with these drones with apparently no warning is quite a development in this war, as is the scale of the casualties that we seem to be witnessing being sent into this hospital behind me, but also others across the centre and north of Israel tonight.
Dom, I know you'll be monitoring the situation there for us for the moment. Dominic Waghorn, thank you.
Well, turning to the situation on the ground in Gaza, medical sources have told Al Jazeera at least 56 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli strikes across the Strip since early on Thursday. One of the attacks hit a school in Deir al-Balah, killing 28 people. Hundreds of displaced people were sheltering there at the time of the attack. The injured were taken to Al-Aqsa Hospital. It's the latest in a series of Israeli attacks on schools housing Palestinians across the Strip. Hani Mahmoud is joining us from Deir al-Balah in central Gaza. So yet another UN school attacked. People have lost their homes, being left even more vulnerable.
Yes, and Rob, it's not leaving people any options in terms of safety. There is no safety place across the Gaza Strip, and that has been made clear by the Israeli military since day one of this genocidal war. Not only residential homes and streets and public facilities been destroyed, but also the very particular areas where people were encouraged and were told to evacuate in order to avoid being bombed. But contrary to these narratives and contrary to the enforced orders for evacuation, people ended up being killed and maimed and bombed inside these areas, whether it's evacuation zones in the southern part of the Strip or across the Gaza Strip. All these evacuation centers, 28 people confirmed killed by the health ministry. All of them were transferred to this particular health facility, which experienced for the past hours and is still experiencing very difficult times inside the emergency department, the operating theater, the ICU, very difficult situations. The heartbreaking point is seeing surviving family members is still in the morgue of the hospital, searching through the remaining bodies who are not buried yet, looking for marks, looking for anything that could lead them to the bodies of their children, the bodies of their family members or relatives inside the morgue. One particular scene that is haunting all of us here as a whole team is a scene of a mother next to the body of her son inside the morgue, simply because there is no surviving family members left to help her to bury the body of her son. Another scene with the husband who recognized the body of his wife by the clothes she was wearing. A third scene of a father recognizing the body of his son by a birthmark on his left thigh. That's where he was able to recognize the body that already came to the hospital, torn apart and shredded into pieces. The situations keep evolving in a very, very upsetting way, very concerning way, in fact, which part of the distraction is created by the Israeli military, because it's still operating in an aggressive way in northern part of the Strip, besieging the entire Jabalia area. That includes Jabalia town and Jabalia refugee camp for the 6th day in a row, killing many of the people, and many of the bodies, by the way, according to civil defense crew members in northern part of Gaza, are still in the streets, unable to be retrieved by the civil defense crew members, by paramedics, because simply quadcopters are filling up the skies of the northern part of the Strip. They're chasing civil defense crew members, paramedics, and any other person who tries to remove these bodies from the streets. It's important to point out that these actions by the Israeli military in northern part of the Strip are threatening the efforts of UNICEF to carry out the second rollout of vaccination in the northern part of the Strip, given the current evolving situations. The ground operation that is quite aggressive so far, destroying many of the facilities belong to, managed and operated by UNRWA. It will be very difficult to see how the vaccination rollout will take place within the coming days as the operations continue on the northern part of the Strip.
Hani, thank you very much indeed. Hani Mahmoud from Deir al-Balah there.
Welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox. I'm Andy Mack. Thank you so much for joining us. We're following some breaking news right here on Live Now from Fox, as a California sheriff is saying that a third assassination attempt against the former president was thwarted in California just this week. And I do want to put up just this post here on Live Now from Fox from the New York Post, saying a third Trump assassination attempt thwarted when an armed man arrested outside of the Coachella rally this weekend. As the last minute Saturday, when cops stopped a man armed with guns and fake passes outside the rally in the Coachella Valley in California this weekend. Of course, the suspect, who was caught with about a mile from the rally venue with a phony entry pass, according to police. He was also carrying a loaded shotgun, handgun, and high-capacity magazine. Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco said, quote, "We probably stopped another assassination attempt." The suspect, identified as Vem Miller, was intercepted by police at a checkpoint about half a mile from the rally entrance. He was carrying phony passes and VIP passes. According to the Sheriff Bianco in that area, they said, quote, "They were different enough to cause the deputies alarm." Miller's believed to be a member of a right-wing anti-government organization, according to Bianco, and was plotting to kill the former president Donald Trump. Miller was booked on possession of a loaded firearm with a high-capacity magazine, was released after posting $5,000 bail. This, according to police records. And we're hearing now different reaction about this third possible Trump assassination attempt from different lawmakers, including Republican Representative Anna Paulina Luna, saying, "I just received word of the third assassination attempt on President Trump's life. This is a time and our nation must come together to condemn violence. This is an abhorrent and should never be tolerated in a civilized society. Our thoughts are with President Trump and his family." And there is expected to be a press conference coming up today. Hopefully we'll hear from Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco and other officials. But this, as we wait to hear from the former president at a rally right now in the Prescott Valley, different speakers ahead of him. Let's listen in to what they have to say here on Live Now from Fox.
When the ground shakes, lives change in an instant. On Saturday, a powerful 6.2 magnitude earthquake rocked the coast of Costa Rica. The epicenter was just 25 miles northwest of Tamarindo, a booming tourist hotspot. The United States Geological Survey confirms this quake, and scientists are diving deep into the data for more details. This latest quake isn't an isolated incident. 2024 has seen a spike in seismic activity, especially in Southern California. Experts are scratching their heads over this unusual trend. While smaller quakes don't always mean a big one is coming, they remind us how crucial earthquake preparedness is. California residents, mark your calendars. The Great California Shakeout Drill on October 17th is the perfect chance to review your emergency plans. And don't forget to download the MyShake app for early warnings. Stay safe, stay prepared, because when the Earth moves, every second counts.
All right, now we want to turn to the upcoming election. Former President Barack Obama spent yesterday on the campaign trail in the swing state, the battleground state of Pennsylvania. And he delivered a blunt message to black men about why he believes they should be supporting Vice President Kamala Harris over Donald Trump.
And on the other side, you have someone who has consistently shown disregard, not just for the communities, but for you as a person. And you're thinking about sitting out, and you're coming up with all kinds of reasons and excuses. I've got a problem with that.
CBS News campaign reporter Torian Small is following both the Harris and Trump campaigns. You see him there in our D.C. bureau. We heard that Obama pause as he speaks. What's the significance of what we've just witnessed? Does the former president still have the same influence with voters? And I'm wondering why he's being critical of black men when in the previous elections, both black men and women voted for the Democratic candidate overwhelmingly.
Well, Errol, the former president recognizes that black voters broadly are a crucial part to the Democratic Party's base, and he's probably looking at polling that showed that Donald Trump is making inroads with black men, even though black women, though, still feel largely more supportive of Kamala Harris. Look, the goal behind bringing Obama out is to galvanize, again, this crucial part of the Democratic Party base that could ultimately help Harris cross the finish line come November.
Now, at a town hall event last night, J.D. Vance spoke about Hurricane Milton and the federal response. How are you watching the Trump campaign, including Vance, alter their rhetoric about the hurricane since earlier this week?
Yeah, they're shifting away, at least J.D. Vance. For J.D. Vance's part, they're shifting away from the idea that the administration is diverting funds from disaster relief to migrant policies, though he's focusing on just the response now. He said at this Greensboro town hall last night that the response time from the military to these affected areas were, in his mind, inexcusable. He thinks that there could have been a quicker response time. In fact, he actually invoked how the U.S. government responded to the Haiti disaster that happened a while ago, saying that, this is an example of leadership failing North Carolinians.
And what is the difference between the ways in which both campaigns are trying to win over Latino voters? That's another crucial block.
Yeah, both campaigns have made a West Coast swing, looking in some of these Sunbelt areas where the Latino population is significant. J.D. Vance in Arizona held several events talking directly to Latino voters, saying that the Trump administration the Trump campaign rather, is making inroads with this crucial voting bloc because he believes that they're speaking directly to legal migrant immigrants in the country who also, in their minds, are not happy with the Russian illegal border crossings under the Biden-Harris administration.
All right, Torian Small, we appreciate the update. Thanks for joining us.
Like in the words of Malcolm X, who told us what? That the white liberal is the worst enemy to the black man.
Yes.
And he is coming up in here acting like y'all representing some social justice.
Say that,
but all along, all you're doing is trying to use black people to find a reason to make some money. Let me tell y'all something over there. We're done. The Democratic Party is done.
Abuse the black American.
Gonna come in here and gonna clean it up. Do just like R.A. Jr. Just do like that Tulsa lady. You better get up out the Democratic Party. Save yourself. Because if y'all don't, we coming for your seats. We ain't taking no disrespect from a bunch of people who have broke into the country and now have completely broke the city, have completely disgraced the United States of America. America is a disgrace. The number one function of a president is to be the commander-in-chief. You tell me anything about a Kamala Harris that look like she can protect this country after y'all done sat up here and let it get overridden with a bunch of illegals. Y'all done sat up here and put America's hands in all kind of wars. And you telling me a TACON man that ran from duty, Kamala Harris, who don't know what race she is, gonna protect this country? The devil is a lie.